one. Afternoon, Mark. So lovely to see you. Can I please ask you for your full name and your title?
Thank you, Lauren. Great to be here. My full name is Marc Dardenne, and I'm the COO for luxury brands with Accor in Europe.
And Mark, could you tell me who the leader is who has inspired you the most so far?
I think I had a couple of mentors in my life, So one would be a gentleman called Horst Schulze. He was the founder of Ritz-Carlton. And, I really learned with him the importance of culture and leading from the top and leading by example. Incredible mentor in terms of motivation, in terms of again, like I said, really leading from the top. So a couple of other leaders that I had in mind also, Arthur Holliger. I worked with him, and with Hyatt, was also a great mentor in terms of my career. Somebody I could look up to, somebody who could understand to be a friend, but also to be a colleague. And that's very important, a third one would be a gentleman called Bob Carasmi, also with Ritz-Carlton. And he was always there when I needed him, and a great sounding board. And again, I can call him a friend as much as a colleague or a former colleague, So there are a couple of people, and I think it's important to follow mentors in your life, and you come across them by chance sometimes, or you join a company because of somebody. I did that also in the past, because I think for me, finding the right people to work with is as important as joining a company.
Absolutely. And what's the greatest learning that you've had in your career so far?
I think one thing is you constantly, number one, you constantly need to continue learning. That's a very important part, So, when you look at my career, I went to hotel school, then I started, from the bottom. I was a, chief steward, and then moved up and did my thing. But I realized that I needed to constantly learn. I learned from being curious, taking on new challenges. I always felt that staying in a comfort zone was dangerous, so I pushed myself sometimes, maybe too many times and too much. But I think that's great, and that turned out good. I decided when I was in my 40s that I needed to do more learning. So I did an executive MBA, which was a huge challenge because you work full time. I had a family of two kids, growing up kids, my wife, etc. And still to do it was even a bigger challenge than on a success than actually going on doing these courses.
And what is your greatest success so far?
I think, again, challenging myself, on one of the great success, I think, in the past was when I was working for Ritz-Carlton. I was a vice president of operations, in our business, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton is kind of the holy land. When you get there, you're set for life. So, and looking back, I don't know how on earth I took the decision to take on a challenge to start up a hospitality division in the UAE. I was, happily living ever after, when I got a call and somebody said, "Look, we're a real estate company. We are building hotels. We have all these different assets, leisure facilities, golf courses, etc. But we don't know what to do. Would you like to join us?" And I thought, wow, incredible. You can start something from scratch. You can build something. You can build, I hate to say that, a little bit of a legacy, and apply all the things that I learned in the past. So I started a company with Imar Hospitality, and we created a brand from scratch. We created the Address hotels, very, very successful. They probably have 10 hotels now. And we grew the company from 400 colleagues to 4,000. And the biggest success, I think, was working with an icon of the fashion industry, Giorgio Armani, on building two hotels, two Armani hotels. I'm saying building, also creating an Armani hospitality culture and brand, and successfully opened these two hotels. that are actually successful until now. So that's kind of one of the successes, I would say, which make me very proud.
My goodness, absolutely. And if you believe in the word, what is your greatest failure?
Um, Greatest failure. Sometimes, I don't see, one thing about what I do is I don't look backwards. So I have taken decisions in my life that you can qualify them as failure, but honestly, I mean, maybe it's a cliche, but I don't look at them as failure. I never look back. So I took decisions to move from one company to another, move one country to another. I never think that it's a failure. I never thought, oh, I should have stayed with Ritz-Carlton. I could have been president of Ritz-Carlton. I could have done that. I could have had all these share options, whatever it is. I don't really think about that, right? So I had a couple of failures where I thought I deserved the job and I didn't get the job. But then I took it on as a challenge and I said, okay, good, swallow your ego and try to realize why they didn't give you the job. If they didn't give you the job and you're not happy anymore, then move on. But I'm not the type to stay on and complain, etc. So really, when you look at it, I look at failures as opportunities, and I'm very genuine about that.
And could you tell me a story about an incident or an event that really changed you as a leader or influenced you as a professional?
Good. I mean, how long do you have time? Because I have many. I have the whole afternoon if you want, but no, a couple of things that I think really changed me. One thing that I really remembered, I used to work for in Germany. I was fairly junior, but I worked for a general manager, a German, old style German general manager, and they're very directive in the way they do things. But I found it very difficult to work with him, and I tried to compensate the fact that I was kind of insecure in working basically every day 18 hours, right? So working every day, weekends, etc. I told somebody, can you please, arrange this mise en place, and then I would go and check, and then I would do it myself, and then I would and I was a terrible, terrible manager, right? So in hindsight, and what he told me, he said, "Look, Mark, I have no choice, but I have to promote you. But really, you have to change your style, otherwise, you're not going to continue. You're not going to be able to progress in your life." At that time, I was also smoking, so I was smoking, which is terrible, right? I stopped smoking a long time ago, but I'm nervous. I also realized I didn't build a good team around me, and people just didn't trust me, didn't want to really work for me because I was too much doing everything myself. That was a huge learning curve. So I started taking courses on time management. Then I started delegating. I started looking at really selecting the right candidates with the right talent that would benefit the team, not only myself, and so on. And I think that was a big step in the progress of my career.
And if you could, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self now?
Right. I mean, I gave it to my son actually. Yeah. That was quite interesting, when he was actually, he was not 18, he was, how old was he? 16, 17, something like this, that where it's typical father-son conversation. And, I asked him, look, Nicholas, what you want to do in life, and he said, look, I want to be you. So I thought that's nice. I thought that was the nicest compliment you can get as a father. I said, okay, good. Let's leave that apart. But, first of all, you have so many more choices than I have, right? I think my business is a great business, and but you have to love it passionately, otherwise you're not going to last in it. So I did remember when I chose it, my mom was very surprised to see at 15 that I wanted to do that. I said, look, I want to travel, I like people, I like entertaining, I don't know, I like to serve, I don't know why. I find enjoyment in serving people. Some people don't have that, right? So I mean, that's because the conversation I had with my mom, but then the conversation I had with my son is like, look, if you really want to try it, why don't you go and spend some time in a hotel? So I arranged for him to spend a month in a hotel, and I told the GM, uh, put him everywhere, put him midnight stewarding, banqueting, in the kitchen, cooking eggs, etc., because he needs to realize what it is all about. And I think that was a great experience. And finally, he decided. He said, "Look, I really liked it, but I'm not too sure if I like it enough to make it a career." That's what I wanted to make sure that he had that real passion to do it. Now, thinking back when I was 18, honestly, I didn't have that many choices. I went to hotel school, etc., and I did my school. Then I started as like I said, a management trainee and wash dishes and so on. So and then you move your way up. Today, the young generation have so much more choices, and so I said, look, get the best education possible. That's number one, and take any university you choose, and I will support you. And luckily, I could. Some people can't, but I had the ability to do it. And he went to a great university, did really well there, and then afterwards he was on his way. So and funny enough, chose finance. He joined, I think it was Morgan Stanley, again blue chip company, right? You think I was also thinking the old way. I said, God, that's it. He's going to be partner in 10 years, and it's great. He's going to get married, 2 kids, a dog at home, a big country house. I can retire, and I come and visit him. Anyway, 18 months later, he says, "Look, Dad, I'm not really happy doing Excel spreadsheets." I said, you really want to leave such a company? He said, yeah. I've been approached by a young startup company that supports obviously startups, and I just want to do something different in my life. I'm not sure if I can align myself with the culture of the banking culture. And he decided to join that company and he did forego about $15,000 worth of shares, that he had received, and he had to, signing bonus. He had completely forgotten that he had to pay that back. But he swallowed it, he did it, and he has done extremely well in his new job, So for me, it's really going by by your passion. And the other thing is, I guess with the younger generation today, they don't really look at how many years you do I have to work in a company to move up the ladder. Like you said, you were a solicitor and you had to wait for somebody to die to get a promotion. And that's not really very motivating, honestly. And they are much more flexible. And when I look at CVs nowadays, honestly, I look at somebody who has taken on challenges and has succeeded in those challenges. I don't have a big problem if they moved like to every 2-3 years, as long as he has certain progression. Actually, for me, it's more important that somebody has worked and survived and exceeded in different cultures, different environments, a small company, a large company, a public company, a family, family-run companies, and so on. So that's what I look at. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mark. I'm so appreciative.
No, wonderful. Thank you, Lauren.